We're the Vinyl Verdict, and we're here. We took a little bit of a gap in the album reviews, and just like Badfinger, we're back on the airwaves with the next incarnation of Badfinger, which was the Airwaves album in 1979. And we've got a couple different versions of this. I got the promo vinyl, the official vinyl, we got the cassette tape, and the 1999 CD. We're a little overdue for a remaster remix. It's been about 25 years. And we're going to talk about this, and who knows, maybe we'll get one. We've been getting everything else we asked for lately, so we figured it was time. What is this album? Why are there only two people on the cover? Got a little bit of context there. This was about 3 years after there was any signs of Badfinger. Joey's quote is that if Joe Tanzen hadn't knocked on his door, he might have never done music again. And Joe Tanzen knocks on his door in spring 1977. Joey then starts exchanging tapes with Tom Evans in England to see if they're still compatible, because they were in these side projects and maybe they've branched out in different directions. And then in April '78, Tom Evans comes to LA again and agrees to call it Badfinger because the record label is pushing them to call it Badfinger. The musicians are all over the place. They move through a lot of musicians. I won't call it a comeback album, but like a reformation of the band and kind of getting back to recording together in some way. They were signed on Elektra Asylum, which was a pretty big label, and it was recorded between October and December 1978. And it ended up being produced with David Malloy, so we'll talk about that. That's significant. In terms of the writing credit, there are 3 Tom Evans songs, 3 Joey Molland songs, 2 Joe Tanzen songs, and 1 Molland Evans song, which is like the 30-second Airwave snippet. So they're writing pretty evenly, and this Joe Tanzen thing is adding a new influence. This is the 7th album credited to Badfinger. It's only 9 tracks, really only 8 if you don't count the 30-second snippet of Airwaves, which is really part of Lookout California. And it's only 30 minutes long, pretty short by all standards. It didn't do that well. I mean, I think Badfinger fans are pretty mixed, and some of us really like this, but in terms of album chart performance, it only hit number 125 on Billboard. It had 2 singles. Love's Gonna Come at Last hit number 69, and Lost Inside Your Love didn't chart at all. The band tours from June to August 1979. They play with Tony Kaye and Peter Clark. So the band is kind of a little bit different than the way the album was recorded.
I walked in and took a look and literally saw the profile shot on the front of the cover. Like I was seeing, family or something. That's Joey and Tommy, and my heart started pounding right away, being a big fan. Just picked it right off the rack and bought it. Ran right to where I lived in San Diego, put it on the turntable. I was thrilled. I distinctly remember being really emotionally moved by them being back and writing music. Of course, Pete's not there, and we won't even go into that because he wasn't there. Love Is Gonna Come at Last really brought tears to my eyes, I guess. I guess it just hit me when I heard the slide guitar like that, and I heard it. It was so evocative of the actual band that I remembered, and the sound that I remembered. That guitar, it put me back in a Badfinger place. Like it just felt almost like Pete was there.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when you listen to it. It is, I do think the production is very different from anything Badfinger did. The songwriting is obviously very different. It's Say No More, I think, over-indexes on the rock songs, whereas this maybe over-indexes a little more on the ballads. And now we always pair these together. Again, you look back and you say, oh, it was the Airwaves Say No More era. That wasn't really clear at the time. It's just Badfinger's back, and who knows what they're going to work on together, and they might find some success in all of this. I mean, obviously there's some missing pieces if you're a Badfinger fan, but listening to this on its own, I think it is a pretty strong record. So, all right, well let's jump into it then, track by track, I guess. So Airwaves, you put it on, and the first thing you hear is this. This is pretty different than the way any Badfinger record ever kicked off. Yeah. It's truly an album opening.
Whatever it was, you had never heard anything like it. What I particularly like musically about it, and even in that soft acoustic refrain at the beginning, the last time he says, you got to get back on the airways, it goes down to the chord that it's going to go to when they really start the heavy rock part, which starts immediately. And that was so effective because of this soft beginning.
This is very ominous. Like, not only is it obviously because you know the song that's coming next, but you haven't heard from these guys in 3 years. Most people, in the U.S., if you didn't hear the Dodgers, which Tom Evans wasn't even on the album, you haven't heard his voice in 3 years. And the first time, he's just scatting along with an acoustic guitar. It's incredibly ominous. And then, in that moment where he goes down, he actually plays the guitar, gets a little louder too, like almost like they're turning it up, really, but it's a false start. And then
it's really a foreshadowing of what's to come. And then when it hits, it really hits.
It's weird that live they never did this as a medley. They did rock and roll contract into Lookout California, almost like the way Paul did Jet, where like they keep the drums going in between. So then we've talked about it longer than the song is, so let's get to Lookout California, which is the second track. And this captures, I think, the freshness of the band being back, and obviously it's about Tom taking off and, you know, heading on the plane to California.
You can't underestimate Joey and Tommy, and they were together again, and this was a beginning that just lifted you up. It was powerful, it was heavy, it was Badfinger was back is what you thought. And lyrically, he's so excited to come to California. It's so poignant. It's something I think any of us who moved here in one way or another, me being one of them, have felt inside. You know, your life's going to be better, the sunshine is there, and powerful. Yeah. He was filled with anticipatory joy at looking ahead.
That bridge, I love when they go back on the airwaves.
Oh.
And then you're referencing the album title and everything just kind of connects.
Yeah.
And then you get what I actually, in listening to this whole album, my takeaway was just how strong their bridges and solos are. In every song, they're able to hit these crescendos, and they're very effective. And I think it shows the strength of, even though the songs are not considered collaborations technically, I think there's a lot of collaboration happening in Joey and Tommy figuring out the bridge to connect all of these songs.
The playing on that when it kicks into the break is phenomenal.
And he does the Got a Good Deal from a Prawn Recommend, just like these nice arpeggios and the synth, and then Joey's solo here is just great. Because before the solo even starts, he's doing like the palm muting little, it's just so pure and confident. The way that he's leaving certain gaps, because Joey's not someone who leaves gaps in his solos. He is filling up every note and some. But here he's just kind of picking out the chords in this rock way and letting those gaps tell the story a little bit there, or give you some of the energy. There's no Pete Ham influence on it, like you said, that goes without saying, but it is very authentic. It's not Joey and Tommy trying to do a Pete Ham part and trying to write that. It's them rocking out in LA, and that's, I think, what this album was about, and it's done very well.
So the next one after the excitement is Tommy coming back with what was really a standout to me, Lost Inside Your Love, which he was really back. He had been a little quieter in the later Badfinger albums, relatively speaking. And here he was back. He was the composer.
I always felt like it was very important when I heard it, but as a kid, I don't know that, I think the 70s production made it a little bit hard for me to absorb it in the same way.
That may be.
But I understood that it was a really beautiful melody, and it was just somehow important in this iteration of Badfinger, and I think it gave them, and now when going back and listening to the demos and everything, I think it's clear how much this song was probably pivotal in showing the label and showing Joey and everyone that, you know, they still had a lot to do, and that these songs could have a lot of potential.
The exchange that happened, which I think is on some records, it's him playing on the piano, which you haven't heard really, and he was playing beautifully, and the song was beautiful in his demo. And there's just a little at the end, he says, well, I'll see you soon, and probably others have heard this on the record. He says, and God bless.
Hope it's all there. Goodbye, God bless.
And that's what he sent, and I think this song is significant, as you were saying, because I think this was significant in them coming back together too, and in the record contract.
The bridges and solos on this album are so good. The Are You Leaving Me One More Time, and then his little falsetto, and then into this solo, so well done. It's like, and it makes these songs just fly by, because 70s production, sometimes it's also how long a lot of the tracks are, but those bridges just give it new life and keep it going with a lot of momentum. So I think that's great.
There's a Tommy effect you're reminding me during the middle break when he's doing those he's just doing those ooh sounds with that Tommy voice, and I love that.
I thought it was interesting also listening to the live version. The ending note, Lost Inside Your, when he does live, he always had to scream the note in chest voice. But on the record, he does falsetto. The next track is the first single that was released from the album, and it's the first Joey Molland song that we hear, and that's Love Is Gonna Come At Last. People always talk about Hold On being, you know, the big hit that was in the post-Ham Badfinger era. To me, this is the real hit of this era. I mean, this is the one that I think had the most potential. It's the one with the strongest melody and feeling. It has the slide guitar, so it's still kind of referencing their past. It's not completely turning their back on it, but it's bringing it and elevating it to a new level. And they use very interesting guitar effects. And it's another bridge and chorus that just gives me shivers every time I hear it. And we talked about it with the single, but I love that this song actually has some resolution. It's not just kind of repeating the chorus and everything, but then he extends it that last time. He says, someday I'll find a way to make my dreams come true. Yes. And then the slide guitar even goes higher and higher in the outro. So it's kind of, there's more closure in this song than anything else.
Yes, he actually did that. It was a magnificent effort.
You know, there's one person who disagrees with you.
Who's that?
Joey Molland.
Really?
He said, it's not a bad song. I don't think it's a great song, though. That's what he was quoted as saying in the book. And he said he doesn't play it live because it's hard to play the riff and sing. Please play this live, Joey. It's such a good song. Your voice has never sounded better.
He's pretty humble about what he's written and about the role in Badfinger, and that it's true that the hits repeat and everything. But I saw it. I was there, and others did too. And his role is on a level with anybody's. He's humble about his achievements, and they're unbelievable. There's not a lot of songs on this album. There's not a lot of tracks. You come to Sympathy. It was the disco era after all. Having lived through it, it was like the wasteland to me. In history, it doesn't look like it was around that long, but for a year or two there, you couldn't hear or see anything else. And so Sympathy kind of fit into that in a rock way. They made a great effort. It's not a Joey and Tommy Penn song. I believe it was Joe Tansen, I believe. But I always loved to hear Tommy sing. The song structure and the way it hit me was not they did a great job on what they were doing. It wasn't on a Badfinger level to me.
It is notable they put the two Joe Tansen songs kind of wedged right in the pit of the album between side one and the opener to side two, though, which is a significant place. But It's weird that they put them back to back. Yeah, everyone knocks this one for being disco. I think this is a good song. It just needs a little bit of a remix. I think the guitars are way too buried. If you put those more up front, and also fade it out a bit earlier. It goes on a long time.
I don't know how you could do that song other than the style that it was done. It just doesn't. I don't know if it would work as a.
It's just a mix. It needs to be a little different. But it's not. It is different. The arrangement is very different than other Badfinger songs. Joey's playing electric piano. That's not typically what he does on Badfinger songs, but it lets them all expand and try different things. And I like that they both do vocals on it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
True. The Joey. Counterpoint to Tommy singing, and this is in the middle break, I believe. Yeah, it's great to hear them both sing, as you say, and they both did a fine job.
And the lead playing is really great too, which is Joe Tansen on this one. I don't think it sounds like Badfinger, but it fits the style of this song. So we flip it over to side two, and then we open with the next Joe Tansen song, which is The Winner. And Joey actually said this was the song that started the album, because I think this is one of the songs he worked on with Joe Tansen originally. So Nicky Hopkins played it on the demo, but he actually said, this isn't really my style, you should get someone else.
Wow.
And so they went for Tony Kaye. So that's where they first linked up with Tony Kaye, was playing this song. When I was a kid and I would watch Midnight Special and American Bandstand, and they always did this song along with their singles, it always felt very new and refreshing, and especially that guitar solo, the way that they hit that kind of high note at the end of the solo, and just there's almost some polyrhythm in this, where they do the fast piano and then the guitar da-da-da, like that picking. That combination of those two rhythms, there's just some interesting sounds on this that make it at least creative. That's what you always want to hear with the Beatles, them trading off verses. It's great that they do that in this song.
Something is there, I can feel it. They're each, there's an energy in it, that's for sure. There is an energy in that song. It didn't feel exactly like Badfinger. Some of these other songs that they wrote sounded more, but those were the guys from Badfinger. But this was well done, and I think they did play it, as you said, in those years live.
Yeah, even after Joe Tansen left the band. So then we move on to The Dreamer. Maybe your favorite song on the album?
Well, I love The Dreamer, and I think the guy, Joey Molland, is showing when he writes a song like The Dreamer, if anybody didn't know it before, that he could write an epic tour de force, which is how I look at this song. It moved me so deeply. There was no doubt. Any Badfinger aware person would know immediately, who the song's about. The fact that he could carry off the different sections of this song, it was so powerful to me. Joey ascended to another level. He was already on a level with rocking and all that, but this was a true classic songwriter. This was serious, and Joey was writing not for the first time and not for the last about Badfinger. I think they were friends, and about a friend that he had who wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, I think also Joey does not write on piano much. I think this was written on acoustic guitar.
It was a guitar demo type thing.
Yeah, it's a guitar demo, but then it almost feels like like when you play it on piano. No,
yes.
It almost, the arrangement changed.
Yeah, he's played it live on guitar, so Joey, I've seen that. I never did play it.
It's kind of notable for being a Joey Molland song based on piano. There aren't too many of those. One of the other ones is Christmas song, so this is almost like part two of that. It's a real orchestra on it too. Electro Asylum, splurged a little bit on the production. It was too bad they didn't on the marketing. And for Joey, who people say is the rock guy, he's just exploding with melody and being very vulnerable, which is not something he also does in many of these songs. Generally, he sings these rock songs that are very kind of confident, and this is one about his love growing and a little more fragile, I think, than Joey usually writes. It changes and there's these different
It
sections.
trades off all you
in.
can ever see is all you ever be, and all you could ever be is all you could ever see. He does it both ways.
That acoustic outro really comes out of nowhere. I mean, if you don't know the song, it's unlike anything else they ever did. And it's got that volume pedal part, which is also very well done, the way that some of the electric guitar is being done over that. And then we get to the other side of Joey Molland with Come Down Hard.
Yeah.
Totally the opposite. And I think this is another really good example of the production working with the song. I think it makes it heavier.
Yeah.
And the riff is just driving the whole song.
It's a great song.
Every piece. The solos are some of the best I think Joe Tanzen ever did. Joey does them live and they're great too. And I love his voice on it. Joey's voice just sounds amazing. On some of the notes, it's him and Tom harmonizing, and they're enunciating the words in the exact same way. It's just perfect.
I really love this song. My brother loved this song, and it kept alive the Badfinger edge, which Joey had something to do with in the first place, shall we say. Before his lead, he actually says, "She go boo hoo hoo." That's a thinker.
Switches gears again really hard. I mean, there's only 9 tracks, so each one is a pretty big pivot. Back to Sail Away, the Tom Evans closer. Another kind of Lost Inside Your Love style ballad. Orchestra's back. This album in general, we said, it's very refreshing and positive and kind of a new beginning, but this song already seems a little bit cynical about that beginning. Great double-tracked harmony, and then we got that 7-minute Nicky Hopkins version recently, which is pretty cool. And that and the other demo are much faster, so David Malloy slowed this down a lot for the album closer.
What you said is true about the energy of the album and their back and everything, but this deeper and darker from Flying, and on this from Tommy in the lyrics. It's just, well, where's that coming from? That's coming from Tommy wrote it, and I think it's an unbelievably great song. I know when I played it for people and I thought that they'd listen to this great song, I recall getting a reaction like, well, they thought it was kind of down, that the song was depressing or something like that. And yeah, it's a guy that's, you could say whatever you want to say and analyze it psychologically, but just as the songwriting is magnificent. On one album are songs that it's all emotional because it was Badfinger was back together, and as a closing number, you may not gotten up and danced to it, but it was moving beyond belief. And his Tommy voice, that beautiful voice, with the harmony, carry on, doing a little dip that Pete Ham used so much in Day After Day, and that was a Badfinger trademark to me at the time. I was aware of it, and when I heard the carry on part as the closing to the song, that was Tommy trying to keep going and with the Badfinger legacy as best he could, and as an individual, they closed the album with a song like that.
I think it kind of works. So this cover, it was also very inaccessible as a kid. The font and everything looked very Top Gun-esque or something, and with the like battleship sonar radar and the text for Airwaves. But I guess it works if you're on battleships or something, you're sailing on, and there's something about the ocean in here a little bit. And Tom Evans wrote a lot of songs about the ocean.
I think it's also for the airport. The radar that is in an airport to watch his planes come in. But I don't know. It's airwaves of some kind, I guess. Yeah,
I don't know. It always felt like they were stranded at sea or something. Because there's their 2 heads on their own, and then this huge empty black abyss that they're sailing through or something. So
that's a real interesting point of view, because maybe that's truer to what it was.
More than the other, I mean, even Wish You Were Here, a pretty fun album cover. This one didn't feel that fun. It felt very serious, at least when I look back on it. The 1997 bonus tracks, most of them are Joe Tanzen songs that were recorded later. There is one that's pretty notable. I'll play for you there, Love Can't Hide.
Right.
That he co-wrote with Joey Molland, and that is from the Airwaves sessions that they recorded it or around that time. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty good, and it's got like the same edge and everything that he has in a lot of his other songs. I wish they picked that instead of Sympathy. I don't know that we fully found the place for this album in the band's catalog. It's kind of a rebirth, but a little bit of a dead end at the same time. There's a lot of good music on this album, and I wish it got a lot of the same treatment. I mean, this insane. We got Apple and Warner Brothers remasters in the last decade. We got Head First now. I would love to see a little more attention paid to this epoch of Joey and Tommy when they were still in their prime and writing amazing music. So let us know what you think of this album.